You ever notice how INFJs can feel like two different people depending on the day? One side's designing blueprints for a better world, the other's writing poetry about how the world broke them.
Yeah, we're like a Renaissance painting that argues with itself. Half logic, half longing, half philosopher, half therapist.
Carl Jung called it the tension of opposites. The Greeks called it the daemon, the inner force that pulls you toward your higher self by making you wrestle with it first. Today, we're unpacking that struggle through two INFJ Enneagram types, the 4w5 Individualist, Bliss, and the 1w9 Reformer, Ice.
I crave depth. I live in metaphors. 4w5s see emotions like constellations, each one connected, burning, dying, reborn. We're not dramatic. We're descriptive.
Descriptive. You wrote a 6-page journal entry about the color mauve.
And it moved people.
The 4w5 INFJ is the philosopher-poet of the personality world. They combine introverted intuition, ni, with deep feeling, phi, and analytical detachment, ti. Think Kierkegaard meets Maya Angelou, idealism wrapped in introspection. As Kierkegaard wrote, anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. The 4w5 lives there, spinning, searching, creating meaning from chaos.
Okay, maybe I don't need to psychoanalyze baristas. Order is beauty, precision is peace. If 4w5s feel to understand, 1w9s refine to become.
Or control everything within a 3-foot radius.
Hey, someone has to file the chaos you create.
The 1w9 INFJ is the calm perfectionist, conscientious but gentle. Their moral compass doesn't bark orders, it whispers principles. They channel Kant's categorical imperative, act only according to that maxim whereby you can, at the same time, will that it should become universal law. Kant would call the 1w9's drive a pursuit of moral architecture, the need to make the inner world structurally sound so the outer one can stand.
Perfection is an obsession. It's respect for detail.
It's also how you end up arguing with Grammarly at 2 a.m.
When 4w5 meets 1w9, you get paradox, the dreamer who demands discipline and the reformer who secretly wants to cry to jazz music. The balance of feeling and principle creates what Jung called individuation, the moment you realize your contradictions are your completion.
So you're saying I don't have to fix my feelings?
And I don't have to suppress mine. I just need to process them efficiently.
Efficiently? You literally color code your emotions.
At least I have a legend.
Maybe the real INFJ journey isn't finding who you are. It's realizing you're two architects designing the same soul from opposite directions. The 4w5 builds meaning, the 1w9 builds structure. Together, they build peace.
And apparently an audience.
If they're still watching at minute 13, they belong here.
Now that you've met Bliss and Ice, the feeling and the framework, let's step inside the psychology behind them. Plato said, "The part can never be well unless the whole is well." The same goes for your personality. To understand the whole INFJ, you need to study the two sides, the 4w5's depth and the 1w9's discipline. Here's how the 4w5 and 1w9 actually shape the INFJ mind. One part of you aches to express your unique soul, while the other quietly insists you must be perfect and do what's right. It's a relentless tug of war, a beautiful struggle that only an INFJ would understand. You sense everyone's emotions like a sixth sense, yet inside you're torn between the dreamy artist and the moral compass. Sound familiar? If you're an INFJ caught between your idealism and your identity, stick around. This video will speak to your soul. INFJs are known as the rarest of the 16 personality types, gifted with a combination of deep empathy and insight so powerful it can seem almost supernatural. You might intuitively pick up on what others feel or need without a word spoken. This high emotional intelligence is a double-edged sword. It gives you profound understanding of people, but it also makes you feel so much that you risk losing yourself in others' emotions. In fact, your INFJ intuition, ni, often whispers the truth about people's motives, yet your empathy, FE, can be so strong that you ignore that inner voice to avoid hurting someone. You've likely felt it, that inner conflict between staying true to yourself and meeting everyone else's needs. It's no wonder INFJs struggle with boundaries and authenticity. Many of us grow up learning that others don't see the world the way we do, so we hide the parts of ourselves that people don't understand. We become chameleons, blending in to keep the peace. Yet deep down, we yearn to live authentically, to have the courage to be ourselves instead of who we think we should be in each situation. This tension between authentic self-expression and pleasing others is the quiet storm that brews in the INFJ soul. So where do the Enneagram types come in? Well, if you're an INFJ, you might have taken the Enneagram test or are thinking about it and found yourself resonating with type 4 or type 1. In fact, many INFJs turn out to be Enneagram type 4s, often with a 5-wing, while others lean toward type 1, commonly with a 9-wing. These two types highlight very different sides of the INFJ psyche. Think of type 4w5, the individualist, as the INFJ's quest for identity and authenticity, and type 1w9, the reformer, as the INFJ's quest for idealism and integrity. We're going to explore both. As you listen, you might start to recognize yourself more in one or the other, or perhaps in both. Let's dive deep into the heart of the INFJ, where the individualist and the reformer each leave their mark. INFJ and Enneagram 4w5 meet the INFJ individualist. This is the INFJ who feels like an old soul, a true original. You might find them journaling in a corner at a cafe or creating art that's achingly personal. They often carry a feeling that they're somehow different from everyone around them. Truth be told, they really are different. Their thought process is utterly unique, a blend of intense feeling and insightful thinking that fascinates others. INFJ 4w5s are driven by a relentless need to understand who they are and to express that truth creatively in the world. Life for them is a journey to discover their true identity and share it through art, words, ideas, with anyone who cares to listen. This type of INFJ is often sensitive, introspective, and deeply creative. In fact, INFJ 4w5s rank among the most sensitive and anxiety-prone of personalities. Emotions run deep in their veins. When inspiration or heartache strikes, they feel it fully. You may see it in their eyes, that distant, dreamy look of someone who lives in a world of meaning that others can't quite touch. They might appear reserved or quiet on the outside, but get them onto a topic they're passionate about, and they'll light up talking with energy for hours. This is the friend who won't shine at small talk, but hand them a conversation about the meaning of life, a song lyric that moved them, or an injustice that stirred their heart, and they'll surprise you with their fire. Authenticity is everything to an INFJ 4w5. They must be true to themselves. They don't care about following the crowd or fitting into society's cookie-cutter molds. In fact, both INFJs and Type 4s march to the beat of their own drum, ignoring mainstream expectations for how they should think or dress or live. If you're a 4w5, you know the feeling of craving to be understood for who you truly are, not what others assume you to be. You likely have a rich inner world, perhaps filled with imaginative stories, symbolism, maybe an affinity for music, poetry, or other arts as an outlet. This is how you channel your swirling emotions into something meaningful. Both INFJs and Enneagram 4s share a powerful creative streak, using creativity to express their feelings and unique view of the world. But with that gift of uniqueness comes a shadow. For the INFJ individualist, the deepest fears boil down to a few heartaches: a fear of failure, a fear of dependence, and a fear of being ordinary. Failure isn't just failing at a task. It feels like a failure of self. When things fall apart, an INFJ 4w5 might secretly question the very grounds of their identity. If my project, my art, my effort failed, does that mean I am a failure? They also fear relying too much on others. Many INFJ 4w5s had early experiences that taught them dependence can lead to hurt or disappointment, so they learn to be fiercely independent, sometimes to the point of pushing others away, and being ordinary. That can feel like the ultimate shame. Not being recognized as special or one of a kind equates to being unlovable or insignificant in their eyes. They simply cannot accept the idea of just blending in, because to them, being like everyone else means their life might lack purpose or meaning. So they strive for the opposite. Core desires of INFJ 4w5s include proving, perhaps quietly, perhaps unconsciously, that they are extraordinary. It's as if they believe that if they can show the world their unique value, then they'll finally earn the love and acceptance they desperately crave. Paradoxically, these fiercely independent souls yearn for an intimate, deep connection with someone who truly gets them. They dream of finding that person, or those few people, to whom they can show their true colors, scars and all, and finally be seen and understood. It's a poignant irony. The people who feel most different often long the most to be accepted for exactly who they are. Internally, the INFJ 4w5 often experiences a push-pull conflict between connection and withdrawal. Imagine an internal dialogue. I want to be seen, but what if they don't like what they see? Better to retreat. They crave authenticity and closeness, but they'll protect their vulnerable heart if those needs aren't met. The Enneagram 5 wing, known as the investigator, adds an intellectual, analytical flavor to this INFJ. It's the part of them that loves knowledge, that might dive into books, research, or abstract theories. Thanks to this 5 wing, INFJ 4w5s can appear more structured and logical than a typical INFJ. They can step back and analyze their feelings with a surprisingly cool head at times, thinking and feeling at the same time to reach deep, authentic insights. This means when life gets overwhelming, an INFJ 4w5 might cope by analyzing the chaos, trying to make sense of their turbulent emotions through logic, or by finding patterns and meanings. There's a certain balance in the INFJ 4w5 between heart and mind. They rely on intuition and feelings, yes, but they also lean on intellect to navigate an uncertain world. It's as if emotion is the paint and logic is the brush. Together, they create the INFJ 4w5's understanding of life. This balance can be a gift. Their ideas and perspectives are distinct, deep, and authentic because they integrate reason with passion. They might, for instance, use their artistic expression not just to vent feelings, but to explore philosophical questions or universal truths about humanity. Type 5's influence can also make them a bit more at ease with solitude and complexity. They often have a versatile skill set, picking up knowledge from many different areas and weaving it into creative solutions. Many INFJ 4w5s are multi-talented learners. 1 year deep into psychology, next year teaching themselves guitar, the next starting a blog on spirituality. It's all part of expressing that ever-curious, soulful inner world. Of course, that 5 wing also means sometimes the INFJ 4w5 will withdraw even more than a typical INFJ. They can get lost in their own thoughts, becoming a bit detached or cerebral when stressed. Socially, they often enjoy being alone or with just a tight-knit circle. They're introvert, independent, and private. They guard their time and energy carefully, and yet they're not antisocial, far from it. When among close friends who share their values or passions, INFJ 4w5s can be the life of the small party, animated and engaged. They might even seem like extroverted introverts around the right people. It's all about depth. Shallow interactions drain them, while meaningful ones invigorate them. Now let's talk about mood. INFJ 4w5s can ride some intense emotional waves. Both INFJs and Type 4s are prone to moodiness and can feel fragile when life gets hard. If you relate to this, you know you're not doing it on purpose. You just feel so much. At times you might feel melancholy without even knowing why, or swing from creative euphoria to feeling misunderstood and back again. This emotional richness means you're attuned to the human condition, often empathizing deeply with others' pain, but it can also weigh on you. The world's suffering or your own can seep into your soul and make you need to retreat to process it all. There's a fragility and a resilience combined here. Fragile because harshness hits you hard. Resilient because you transform pain into insight or art again and again. Perhaps the most poignant conflict for the INFJ individualist is the battle between self-acceptance and self-critique. On one hand, you strive to be utterly yourself, authentic, unique, real. On the other, you carry a secret sense that something in you might be missing or flawed, a common burden of Enneagram 4. You set yourself apart from the mainstream to stay true to your vision, yet in the dark of night you might wonder, am I too different? Is there something wrong with me? It's a bittersweet paradox. The very refusal to conform that makes you special can also make you feel isolated or broken. You might look at others who seem content with ordinary lives and wonder why you can't just be like that, why everything in you insists on forging your own path. If this is resonating, you're likely familiar with that ache of feeling misunderstood. INFJ 4w5s often feel like nobody truly understands them, or at least it's rare to find someone who does. It can be a lonely road, but know this, you are far from alone in that feeling. Many INFJs share this secret loneliness, and it doesn't mean you're flawed. It means you perceive life on a level others often don't see. Your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to embrace your individuality without letting the loneliness consume you. Use it to connect in your own way, through your creativity, your empathy, your one-on-one heart-to-hearts with those who do value the real you. Are you feeling that description deep in your bones? The longing to be seen for who you are? The tendency to hide because you're not sure anyone truly will? If so, you might be living the INFJ 4w5 experience. But maybe there's another voice inside you, one that speaks of duty, of doing better, of being good enough in a moral sense. Maybe you resonate with another side of INFJ altogether. Let's explore that, because the INFJ story isn't complete without seeing the other powerful force that might be shaping you. INFJ and Enneagram 1w9, the reformer now. Picture a different kind of INFJ. This INFJ might not be writing poetry by moonlight or openly proclaiming how different they are. Instead, they're the one quietly leading by example, the friend who always tries to do the right thing, the colleague who stays late to ensure everything is done just so because it matters to get it right. This is the INFJ reformer. Here, the INFJ's idealism gets channeled into a drive for goodness, improvement, and justice. INFJ 1w9s are, at their core, idealists and perfectionists. You might resonate with this if you've always felt a need to be the best version of yourself, not for ego, but because you truly want to be a good person. Type 1 is often called the reformer or the perfectionist, and for good reason. If you lean this way, you probably have high standards across the board in your career, your personal life, your treatment of others. You hold yourself to a lofty ideal. Be better, do more, be righteous. The core desire of an INFJ 1w9 is exactly that, to be good and do what is right. You place enormous emphasis on living in line with your values and ethics. Perhaps you've spent nights thinking about what the right choice is in a situation, or you felt deeply fulfilled when you knew you acted with integrity. Hand in hand with this comes the core fear, being seen as morally corrupt or a bad person. Nothing terrifies the INFJ reformer more than the idea that they might be hurting others or doing something fundamentally wrong. You might recall moments from years ago where you said something unkind or made a mistake and it still makes you cringe because it violated your own code of conduct. That inner code is strong. It's your internal compass that you hate to betray. An INFJ 1w9 child, for example, might have been the one who felt horribly guilty for telling a lie or breaking a rule, even if no one else ever found out. That guilt isn't easily shrugged off. It lingers, pushing you to make amends or vow to do better next time. What's interesting about the 1w9 combination is the influence of the type 9 wing, the peacemaker. The 9 wing softens the intensity of type 1 a little, adding a dose of patience, calm, And yes, sometimes complacency. As an INFJ 1w9, you still have that perfectionistic core, but you might not be as rigid or workaholic as a 1w2, for example. The 9 wing strongly supports the INFJ's introverted tendencies, making an INFJ 1w9 resemble a more typical INFJ. In many ways, you likely value harmony and internal peace. You want to do good, but you often also just want everyone to get along. This means you can become conflict averse, sometimes compromising or staying quiet to keep the peace. There's a gentle, somewhat laid-back vibe that a healthy INFJ 1w9 can have. Think of someone who is principled, but also comes across as humble, easygoing, even serene at times. That's the 9 influence mellowing the fire of 1. However, don't mistake that calm surface for lack of passion. Underneath, INFJ 1w9s carry a fire for justice and improvement. You might not always voice it loudly, especially if confrontation could trigger conflict, but you care deeply about making the world better. Many INFJ 1w9s end up drawn to causes or careers where they can help others and advocate for what's right. It wouldn't be surprising to find INFJ 1 among activists, counselors, teachers, humanitarians, or advocates of various kinds. Fighting for justice just feels right to them. If you resonate with this, you know the quiet thrill of contributing to a cause you believe in. It's not about glory, it's about that inner satisfaction of this is what I'm meant to do. Unlike some INFJs who get stuck in dreaminess, INFJ 1w9s can be surprisingly action-oriented. Typical INFJs are infamous for procrastinating, living in their heads, planning but not always doing. But if you're a 1w9, your perfectionism and sense of duty often push you to act. You won't just sit and fantasize about writing that novel or starting that nonprofit. You'll feel a nagging imperative that you ought to get up and actually do it. That doesn't mean you never procrastinate. You are still human after all. But when it comes to something you deem important and aligned with your values, you find the discipline to follow through more often than not. There's a self-driven quality here. You hold yourself accountable to meet those high standards, so you work hard, quietly, and diligently to not let yourself down. Now, let's talk about the people aspect. INFJs in general care about people. Remember, we have that empathy that tunes us into others' feelings. The 1w9 amplifies this in a specific way. Type 1 at its best wants to help people, improve them or their circumstances, and Type 9 wants to understand people and keep harmony. So as an INFJ 1w9, you likely pay very close attention to people's needs, emotions, and perspectives. You might be that person who remembers that your coworker prefers email to phone calls because you sense their discomfort on calls, or the friend who notices someone in the group is feeling left out and gently draws them in. In the workplace, INFJ 1w9s often excel in roles that require human interaction and empathy, counseling, HR, teaching, healthcare, etc., because they combine compassion with a strong sense of responsibility to others. However, every strength has its flip side. For the INFJ reformer, the biggest internal struggle is likely that inner critic voice. You know the one, that ceaseless whisper or shout telling you that you could have done better, that you should have known better, that you aren't living up to your potential or principles. INFJs naturally can be hard on themselves, but with a Type 1 core, this self-criticism goes into overdrive. INFJ 1w9s set very high standards for themselves in all areas and strive relentlessly to meet them. When inevitably they don't meet every goal, perhaps because the 9 wing made them a bit too relaxed or they took on too much, the result is a wave of self-criticism. You might get angry at yourself, replaying mistakes, feeling guilt or shame for not being perfect. This can really hit your self-esteem. You might feel like you're never enough. In worst cases, this kind of harsh internal pressure can even lead to anxiety or depression. It's as if your inner judge never takes a day off and nothing you do is ever truly up to its standards. Do you recognize that pattern? The way you might achieve something great, but at night your brain fixates on the one minor thing you could have done better, or how you might constantly feel behind on your own ethical to-do list, like there's always more good you should be doing? That's classic INFJ 1w9 torment. It's the tension between idealism and inner criticism in full display. It's important to realize this. Your inner voice can be far harsher than reality. You might objectively be a kind, dedicated person. Others probably tell you this, but inside you feel like you're never kind enough, never doing enough. Another struggle, people-pleasing and boundaries. Remember that wing 9? The desire for peace and the INFJ's own empathy can lead to a classic INFJ 1w9 behavior, saying yes when you really should say no. You want to help, you don't want to disappoint, so you may take on more than you can handle to accommodate others. You might compromise on little things to avoid conflict. Coworker asks you to cover their shift, you do it even though you're exhausted. A friend presses for your advice late at night, you listen even if you had needed that time to rest. Maintaining peace often edges out voicing your own needs. Now, interestingly, the text points out that while INFJ 1w9s can indeed be people pleasers, it's not as bad as INFJ 9w1. And crucially, when it comes to their core values, they will not bend. You might go along with others on preferences. Sure, I'm okay with whatever restaurant you choose, but if something crosses a moral line for you, actually this joke is hurtful, I can't laugh at that, you'll stand your ground. The one in you provides a backbone of integrity that even your conflict-averse side can't overthrow. One of the most complex aspects of the INFJ reformer is how they handle anger. Type 1s are known to have a lot of repressed anger. They see how things could be better, and it frustrates them that things, including themselves, fall short. But Type 9 influence means you probably hate overt displays of anger. You likely strive to be calm and collected, and you definitely don't want to start fights. So what happens to all that natural frustration and anger? It often gets internalized or suppressed. You push it down, telling yourself getting angry won't help. Just let it go. People around you might even think you never get angry, but the anger doesn't disappear, it simmers beneath the surface. Over time, this can be dangerous. That calm mask can crack when you've done enduring, resulting in an unexpected outburst. Perhaps you've surprised yourself by suddenly snapping at someone after tolerating minor irritations for a long time. Or maybe you haven't outwardly exploded, but instead the anger has turned inward as depression or a sense of bitterness. Neither is healthy, as you know. It's a bit like a volcano model. Small grievances pile up. You keep sacrificing or compromising to keep everyone happy. You stifle your annoyance until one day the pressure is too much. Boom. You might say things a bit more sharply than intended or finally confront someone with years of pent-up resentment. And afterward, oh boy, the guilt you feel for losing control or hurting someone with your anger can be immense, feeding that inner critic again. It's a tough cycle. Realize that Type 1's anger is not bad in itself. It's often a sign that something important to you, a value, a boundary, was violated. Learning to acknowledge and express anger constructively is a big growth point for INFJ 1w9s. When you do, you actually prevent that eventual volcano and can maintain the harmony you care so much about in a healthier way. Let's not forget another challenge. INFJ 1w9s can sometimes become a bit black and white in their thinking. Because you have such strong ideals and morals, it might be hard for you to see gray areas on issues you care deeply about. There's a potential to become narrow-minded or judgmental in those areas, thinking in terms of right versus wrong, good versus bad, with little room for compromise. For example, if honesty is a core value, you might have zero tolerance for lies. Even white lies might really upset you. Or if you value kindness, you might see someone's one rude action and label them in your mind as a bad person entirely. It's not that you lack empathy, you have loads of it. But when a principle is at stake, you can be surprisingly rigid. This can isolate you if unchecked. Friends or family might feel you're judging them or that you won't understand their more nuanced struggles. It's something to be aware of. Allow your INFJ empathy to balance your one's strictness. The world is rarely as simple as our ideals would like, and people, including you, are works in progress, not all good or all bad. Now, despite these struggles, an INFJ 1w9 has so many beautiful qualities. At their best, you are someone with immense integrity, quietly inspiring others by living your values. You are the coworker who can be trusted to be honest, the family member who mediates disputes with empathy and fairness. The 9 wing, when healthy, gives you patience and open-mindedness. You can see multiple sides of an issue. After all, INFJ intuition sees complexity, and 9 can understand different perspectives. You strive to include others and make them feel heard. Meanwhile, the 1 core ensures that you don't lose yourself completely in pleasing others. You have an anchor of principles that keeps you steady. When you're in balance, you assert boundaries by saying, for example, I want to help you, but I can't compromise on this value, or I also need to take care of myself. That's something a lot of INFJs struggle to do, but the healthy reformer learns to do it, grounded in self-respect, because you need peace too, right? Does this portrait make you nod in recognition? The INFJ who yearns to be good, who maybe lies awake at night recalling how they snapped at their child or how they could have volunteered more, feeling that quiet guilt churn inside, the one who appears so calm and accommodating outwardly, but fights a war within between self-criticism and self-compassion. If you see yourself here, you may be resonating strongly with 1w9, or perhaps you see some of both the individualist and the reformer in you. That's not unusual. INFJs are complex, and we can have different seasons of our lives or aspects of our personalities that align with each of these archetypes. Embracing the INFJ's dual nature. We've traveled through 2 vivid inner worlds, the INFJ 4w5's realm of authenticity and emotional depth, and the INFJ 1w9's realm of idealism and conscientious calm. What if you find that both of these descriptions speak to you? That's very possible. Personality is not a strict box. It's more like a spectrum or a palette of colors. Many INFJs have a bit of the individualist and a bit of the reformer inside them. You might, for instance, have the creative, unique drive of a type 4 in your youth, and later develop the disciplined, principled side of a type 1 as you grow. Interestingly, in Enneagram theory, type 4s integrate to type 1 when they're growing, adopting more healthy responsibility and principled action, or vice versa. Maybe you've been a dutiful, values-driven person who later realized you need to explore your personal identity more. No matter which type resonates more, remember that you are an INFJ through and through. That means you carry certain core strengths and struggles regardless of Enneagram. Your emotional intelligence and empathy are gifts. You likely make others feel seen and understood in a way that's rare. Your idealism can drive you to inspire and uplift people around you. And yes, your tendency to put others first and neglect yourself is something to watch. Whether you're a 4w5 losing yourself in someone else's emotional needs, or a 1w9 working yourself to burnout because you feel obligated to help. Authenticity and boundaries remain key themes. Both 4w5 and 1w9 INFJs must learn that setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person, and being yourself doesn't mean you're selfish. Take a moment to reflect. Have you been denying any part of yourself? If you lean 4w5, do you sometimes beat yourself up for not fitting in or not meeting some external standard, when in truth your value is in being different? If you lean 1w9, do you sometimes silence your own desires or feelings to be good, when in truth acknowledging your needs would make you healthier and actually more effective at doing good? These are the kinds of realizations that can set you free. An INFJ at peace with themselves, whether individualist or reformer, knows that you can't pour from an empty cup. Caring for your own emotional needs and holding yourself with compassion is crucial. Give yourself the grace you so readily give others. You might be thinking, all right, I see bits of me in both type, so which one am I? The answer might not be crystal clear yet, and that's okay. The journey of self-discovery is ongoing. Maybe you'll decide to take an Enneagram test to get a clearer answer, or maybe through introspection and watching this series, you'll just know. Either way, what's important is what you learn about yourself. Notice your patterns. Do you fear being insignificant? 4s fear more, or being unethical, flawed? 1s fear more. Do you crave being understood and special, or do you crave being virtuous and at peace? Which pain hits you deeper? Feeling unseen for who you are, or feeling like you failed to do what's right? Therein lies your leaning. Before we wrap up, let's acknowledge some common ground that all INFJs share, whether 4w5 or 1w9, a struggle with self-worth. INFJs often carry a sense of I should be better. The 4w5 thinks I should be more authentic, more true, more me. The 1w9 thinks I should be better, kinder, more right. In both, there's this underlying self-critical element. But here's a gut punch insight for you. You, dear INFJ, are already enough. Your value isn't in proving your uniqueness or your goodness. It's inherent. The individualist needs to know they are worthy of love, even if they were ordinary. The reformer needs to know they are worthy of love, even if they make mistakes. Let that sink in. It's easy to understand logically, but so hard to truly feel. Yet, if you can embrace that truth, it can set you free to use your gifts without the chains of fear. Your journey continues. We've delved deep into the INFJ psyche through the lenses of 4w5 and 1w9, and by now you might feel a new clarity or new questions about yourself. But this is just the beginning of the journey. There's so much more to explore in the INFJ X Enneagram series. In upcoming episodes, we'll continue peeling back the layers of the INFJ personality, and I'll even be taking the Enneagram test myself on camera to finally discover which type truly resonates with me, 4w5, 1w9, or something else entirely. You won't want to miss that reveal, trust me. So here's what to do next. Watch the rest of this INFJ X Enneagram series. If this video hit home for you, the next ones will go even deeper and might just give you the insight you've been looking for. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications on so you'll know when the next part is out. And if you found value here, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps more INFJs find this content and join the conversation. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Did you recognize yourself more in the individualist, 4w5, or the reformer, 1w9, or maybe a bit of both? Sharing your experience might light the way for another INFJ who's watching and feeling the same conflict. Let's support each other. That's what this series is all about. Remember, your INFJ soul is a gift. Whether you're creating art that heals or quietly reforming your corner of the world, you are living your purpose one day at a time. Stay true to yourself. Set those boundaries with love and keep growing on your journey of emotional clarity. Thank you so much for watching and making it to the end. I know it was a deep dive. Take a deep breath, give yourself a pat on the back for investing in you, and get ready for the next chapter. Until next time, stay empathetic, stay authentic, and I'll see you in the next video where we continue this INFJ X Enneagram exploration. Your story isn't over, it's just getting started.